I'm going to be going over the natural law theory and divine command theory today. These are two big heavyweight theories of just theistic morality and of morality in general. I'm not going to say which one I favor, if I favor any of them, because this has to be purely unbiased for everyone recording. But this will just be like a general intro. I mean, if you're like a genius at one of these, please don't watch this video. You're going to pick out a bunch of things that are like not as specific as they need to be, but this is just a general overview of both of these with some important objections. So that over there is Aquinas the goat. Natural law theory basically is just there is a certain teleological structure to nature, and humans have their own natural ends to which we need to achieve, and we should the morally right thing to do is to work to achieve those ends. And here's this quote: "The natural law is nothing else than the rational creature's participation of the eternal law." So by natural law, we're tapping into something that is deeper than us. It is instituted by God. It is the structure of reality that we access through our human reason. Now, there are some important objections here. That's David Hume, and he is British, so we don't have to listen to him, but he does have a good objection here, which is the is to ought objection. So just because humans are a certain way does not mean that they have to act to achieve those ends. They don't have to. The normativeness doesn't really. It isn't really there. It's kind of, fabricated, one could say. Also, there's a huge objection of what is natural. How do we find out what is natural? I mean, there are loads of things which seem natural when you look out just into nature, which I don't think we would want to act like. If you look out, you'll see animals killing each other for food, You'll see a bunch of appalling things out there. And to just say, well, those are natural, so we should act like that. I mean, it's a bit confusing, especially when you start to consider like medicine. Is it natural? Certain types of medicine, even if they'll help you. It seems that if we just go by what is natural, we don't really have a standard for what that is. And even if we just went off of what we're seeing, that seems to be a bit dangerous. Now we can discuss the divine command theory. I don't have a philosopher for this, as the premier philosopher for this is God. His commands are morally right under this theory. So if you're looking for what is morally right, you look at what God has commanded. And this is the structure, maybe not structure, I should say, but this is influential in a lot of religions. If you look at like the Ten Commandments and Sermon on the Mount, it is both things that are like, these are God's commands, so you're like commanded to love thy neighbor and love God. It is a command. That's why it's right. And in this theory, morality is based in the will of God. So God is the outflow of morality. And this gets into a huge, massive problem, youth for a problem. One of my professors said that if you understand this problem, you understand philosophy. And this is, that's Plato over there, pesky little guy, saying, is an action right because God commands it, or does God command it because it is right? So, is there a objective outside standard, even to God, of goodness that God looks at and commands from, or is just whatever he commands good? And it's hard to really pick between these. I think there's, people have tried to work around it, but if we're just looking at this in a basic level, it's really hard to pick between these because, if there is some outside standard to God, it seems to weaken God, and you wouldn't want to do that. You would be like, really, there's something God is looking to? He doesn't seem to be this, moral lawgiver and author of morality then. But if it's just whatever God says is right, it seems that that's a bit arbitrary. You run into a heavy problem of arbitrariness, which is like, if God commands something horrible, something appalling, like God commands you to kill your friend, would that be good? I mean, maybe a true divine command theorist would say yes, it would be good, but it seems to be a big problem. And now, an objection for both of these two is the problem of suffering. I originally had the problem of evil on there, which is why I put that scary looking Satan dude, but it's better to say the problem of suffering. And this is that there's just so much suffering in the world that, I mean, people will try and claim that, hey, this could be worked towards, bettering moral ends, or, you know if we're all about like choosing to come to God and choosing to be moral people, then this would, allowing there to be evil and suffering in the world would make that choice real. But still, the amount, just the sheer amount of suffering, and you could even look at natural law theory. There seems to be suffering ingrained in natural processes, and there just seems to be endless suffering. I mean, there's the quote, I don't have it exactly down, so this is a paraphrase, but it's like every meal you eat is the outcome of like 100 excruciating deaths. And then if you look at just like purely natural things like hurricanes, tornadoes, I mean, these cause so much suffering to people, and they don't seem to be at any end. They're just mindless, aimless forces. So if you have all of this suffering, it really makes you consider how much you can base morality in a divine being. And this is just the overview of these two theories. It's in no way exhaustive, in no way complete, in no way full. Just a general overview of these two theories. I hope it was helpful.